when we're in our 20s and 30s, I'm just being so open and vulnerable. I think we dread getting older. I think we're so afraid of it.
Despite what society says, despite what social media says, I want to be strong. I want to be doing things. I mean, I look at these centenarians and I'm like, that's what I want.
I'm actually in the same boat. I'm literally like, okay, I want to make sure I'm still skiing and playing pickleball.
I think it's important to really have that vision now and not being like, oh, well, I'm 80, I can't do that.
Nikol, welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you.
You have had just such a beautiful career and created a career on something that I'm super passionate about. And every year I get older, I'm a little more passionate about. And that is really celebrating women in aging in such a beautiful way. And, we were just chatting and I'm like, when did we even come into each other's worlds? And you had said maybe 2017 or 2018. You have sent me some lipstick.
Yes.
And the titles of your lipstick are super empowering. Just tell me that little story and then we'll talk about the progress of everything you've done.
Okay. So when I was just getting into podcasts, and it was a really great time to like escape when I was walking my Frenchies and like take that time to really get some takeaways, to be able to be inspired, whatever it was. And I landed on yours somehow and I just loved it. And I loved just always tuning in, hoping there was like a new one for like the walk and everything. And there was this one particular, it was a couple of them, I think, in a series. And I remember it was like a spring, summer. And you kept saying certain words, like you were like, you just have to figure it out. And really, that's how it is. You figure it out and you move to the next step. And then you said, like, well, actually I can, actually I can do this. So I'm like, these are the names of my lipsticks. I'm going to send it. I never reached out to anyone before. So I felt weird. So I DM'd you on Instagram and I said, hi, you say the names of my lipsticks. Like I have this cosmetic company and I don't want any shout out. I don't want you, this is not about that at all. It's just that I connected with you from the podcast and I just wanted my lipsticks to basically have fun because you would say it all the time and it just made sense to me. So I sent them to you and I just couldn't remember the year. And that's really how I connected with you from the podcast and I knew about you.
I love this because I was like, did I follow her first or did she follow me? Because you guys, if you are not watching on camera, like you are so striking and it's not just about how you look. It is like your boldness and your energy. And I remember being like, this woman is like power, like just so powerful. I've always been drawn to super amazing, bold, powerful women because that's what I want to be. So the more I have those women in my world, and just with your stunning silver hair. And I believe at the time, like when I first started following you, you always had a red lip. Like, I feel like you always wore a red lip, which I feel like I want to try your lipstick on during this episode. I feel like I want a red lip during this. What should I try on?
And the red lip's called Confidence.
Okay, should I do Confidence?
If you like a red lip.
I do.
If you like,
what should I put on? Nikol, tell me what I should put on. And I have paper towel here so I can.
Okay, good. Well, you're wearing black. And you have a fabulous wing liner right now. And you have more of like the nude eye. So you could do the red. I mean, it would just be really just very powerful and bold.
We're going to try it. We're going to try it, everyone. So my video friends are going to love this. This is so pretty, by the way. Her packaging, you guys, if you're a package lover, which I am, aesthetics and just on your, on your bathroom countertop. Okay, here we go. We're going full red, everyone. What do we think?
It looks beautiful on you. I love it with the black. And it's always hard to swipe on a red because it's like if you make any mistake, you'll see it, but it looks great.
Did I do okay?
Yeah, you did.
I can't totally tell.
And you can build it up if you want, or you can make it more like a stain and then put a gloss on it if you want. But yeah, see, it totally changed your look.
Totally different, but I actually love it. I think it looks great.
It's nice because if you're going for that look, especially when you're wearing like a black top and then you have, it's really like, that's what you want to focus on. That's the color that you're popping instead of a nude lip.
I feel like red, like women want to do red, but we're a little afraid of it. And like I've put on red so many times and now I walk out of the house with it. But before I'm like, whoa, This is so bold. Like you can feel like you're too much, but that's the energy I want to embody. And I think that I think with you, like when I would see you, I'm like, wow, that is like so every single day to walk around like that and just be so confident. It's like that type of energy for me. That's what I wanted to embody.
Well, it was hard because everybody thinks that I have this gray hair and that I wanted to go gray. That was not part of the whole program here. So I had always dark hair. I mean, I had no problem with the dark hair. It's just that I went through all of that IVF I went through 5 rounds in 1 year. So I powered through that and my hair was exploding at the same time. And
Oh,
so I was like, well, what am I going to do? Should I be fighting with the doctors, flying all around the country, trying to figure this out? The hair is literally not dying. It's exploding with the gray. I was like, well, what's the choice? Like, really, what's the choice? So I was like, I'm done. I'm not going to fight. I can only fight with so many people with this whole process. And then with having a different hair color, now I always wanted to be blonde. So I wasn't like, wow, this is going to be lighter. It'll be different. But I needed color because I was like, whoa, this is so different. And my eyebrows are black. And guess what? They're staying black. I mean, that's just what they are. And I would get so much hate for my eyebrows. I came on YouTube one time and I had like a furry rug in my studio. And so I cut the furry rug. I didn't realize that it would like all fall apart. Like I thought it would, it would stay like, this like wispy white fur. And I was like, everybody keeps telling me that my eyebrows should match my hair. Well, let's try that today. So I literally took the fur and I placed it on my brows. And I look like Santa Claus. And then like, didn't realize that it would be like all of my face, the entire makeup tutorial. But I was like, is this what we want? Does this look good? Does this make people happy? I was like, look how ridiculous this looks. I'm like, you just have to accept people for what they're doing. Like if that's what naturally happens, so I don't dye my hair, but I have to dye my eyebrows lighter. It's just so crazy sometimes.
yeah. Okay. So let's go back there because it wasn't by choice that you woke up one day and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna embrace having gray hair because I believe you were around 39 when that happened.
Yes.
39
Yes.
or
So
40.
I had the stripe. So I had this stripe here in my
Okay.
black hair. I never dyed it. It would turn like orange. And I was like, okay, what's better? Should I just leave it? So I left this stripe. My aunt has it also. And I was like, I'll just leave it. And, I thought to myself, I'm 49, but I don't know if too many of your audience members knows about like Sally Jessy Raphael had those
Oh
red
yeah.
glasses, like everybody has their style. I thought, well, maybe
Totally.
it'll be my style. Like I'll just have this stripe and we'll just call it a day and it'll be fine. And so that was early 30s. And then it just really, I got tired of like the whole Dalmatian, like, yeah, strangers would come up and be like, I love your hair. I'm like, oh, thanks. So like, you remind me of that. What's that movie with the Dalmatians? I was like, it was coming every time someone said something about my hair. I was like, I'm so over this. So that's early 30s. It was the stripe. And then it just around 35, 36 is when it started to explode. Then I actually felt bad because I was like, it's so white. Like, should I really be dyeing this? Like, you're just wanting to do your own thing. And I can't keep up with the dye because it looked
Mhm.
like I never dyed it when I did. And so it was really like 39. It was like, we're done.
Mhm.
And then I just let it come out.
Was that hard? Like mentally, was it challenging at
Mhm.
first?
Yeah.
What was
It
the
was
hardest part of
hard.
it?
It was hard because here I am, I got married at, I think I was 36. So I'm older. And then, it's all that pressure, especially being in a female, I had my studio as an esthetician and a professional makeup artist. I saw women
You're
on the,
you're like in the beauty industry and you're like
yes,
way against it. Yeah.
yes, I've been in the beauty industry since, well, my first job was with Lancome in 1996 as a freelance makeup artist. So became an esthetician in 2000. So I have, my whole industry, it's like one woman after the other in my studio being like, when you just get married, oh, when are you going to have a baby? When are you gonna, every day on the hour. And it was like, well, what's wrong? What was this? Or have you done this? And it was like so much pressure. I was like, okay. Then being thrown into infertility, like I didn't expect that. Who expects that? Right. So I thought, okay, well, as an entrepreneur, if I work hard enough, if I do all the things, you can, you're going to get to your goal. Like but not in an infertility world, not reproductive endocrinologists do not make babies. in my opinion, they help with the process along, but God is the one that makes babies. So if it's not in the cards, it's not in the cards. You can't force it to you. I mean, I guess you could, but I didn't want to force things. I've done that before in my life. It didn't work out very well. So I thought, okay, I'm in the beauty industry. I'm on YouTube. I can't keep up with my schedule. It's a hot mess. But like,
Mm.
who wants to come out and be like, hey, my life's a disaster. I'm just hanging on. But I'm going to do a beautiful makeup tutorial today for you ladies. So it was 2015 where I just was like, I was so beaten down, like physically, emotionally. I just said, you know what? So I've been on YouTube since 2010. So now we're 5 years into it. And I was like, I don't even know who's watching, but guess what? It's really a hot mess and it's challenging. And I'm going through this. That's when I built my audience.
Mm.
When I was
Did you
like,
just turned on the camera one day and did you just naturally start talking about something? Do you remember what your first kind of like video was?
I had someone that asked me in the comments somewhere along the line, like, what was your gray hair journey? And I'm thinking, there was no journey. It was just black and white. It was like gray roots, black hair. And
Mm.
I was like, the more uncomfortable people were when they saw me, the more I liked it. Cause I thought, I'm the one wearing it. Like, why are they
Yeah.
upset? It was so strange to me. People really had like these very strong feelings. My husband said to me, you know, if you don't love it, dye it. Like
Mm.
you're not stuck with it. See what happens. See if you like it, it's fine. He didn't care. He was like, whatever you want to do. So I thought, well, at least he's not pressuring me. That was really nice. So
Yeah.
I did do a video about my gray hair journey. And it was like, I just stopped dyeing. That's the journey. Black and
Yeah.
white. Here we go. And I had to cut all my hair off to a bob because I wanted to make it look like I knew what I was doing. I didn't want to look like someone that was I had the long layered hair, it was black, and I didn't want to look like, is she okay? Like, does she really understand that it's like it's never going to catch up? So I went in and I just had it cut to the chic
Mm.
bob and I left it that way. And the more gray it got, the bigger and like more full, and it's just wild. And I like let it do its thing. I mean, I try to tame it sometimes, and then I think, you know what? I'm not going to, because I don't feel like it should be restricted. It's doing its own thing. And I think it became very easy for me throughout the infertility whole struggle. It didn't become pregnant. I transferred 7 babies. They were tested. They were PGS tested. And it's a mental game too, really a mental game, not only physical, but when I turned it and looked at it like my body's protecting me
Mm.
from not being able to get pregnant,
Yeah.
like it's really working for me. And I accepted what was the reality. I went into the last transfer with the nurse to the pregnancy test, and she couldn't even look at me, which I thought was weird because I thought it's not my first rodeo. Like,
Mm.
this is really strange. Now we're you have to feel like a person. You never feel like a person going through this. You feel like you're a number. You feel like you're a statistic.
Yeah.
You feel like, so when she couldn't even look at me to tell me it was negative, I said, listen, I'm not that girl. I'm not going to do another 7 rounds. I know girls that did that. They would do 11. They did 15 rounds. I'm not doing it. I did plenty. It didn't work. I'm done. Like, I stopped my life for 4 years. That year was 2000. I want to say it was 2017 or 2018. I
Mhm.
wrote a book because I was like, now I'm free. I felt like I got out of jail. I wrote a book. It came out in December of 2018. Neiman Marcus was my host, where I did in the beauty department. So I was like back into my world of beauty and feeling like, it all happened for a reason. The whole hair thing and the infertility. It's just what you take. It's really what you do with it, right? Because I didn't expect to go through that. It was extremely difficult. I met so many women all over the world through infertility. It was quite powerful, I have to say. And then what happened is that I transferred it from all the women trying to have a child to all the women that were past that. So my demographic changed to all of the women that I could help on a different level. So it was quite interesting, like how it all evolved. And then celebrating being on YouTube for 15 years now. I mean, it's like that to me, I always look back and think, oh my gosh, when no one was watching, I was still doing it because I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved it, and I love teaching and I love talking about beauty, and I could talk forever. And it just was that was an outlet for me. So it wasn't about, oh, who's watching? I want to be this YouTube star. It was like, this is what I've always done. I want to be able to share. And this is the way I felt like I could do that.
Mm, I love that. I think, whenever I meet people who have been really successful just in that sort of media or online, it's like they truly just love talking. Like they love talking about it. They would do it anyway. And I think, the power of you just turning on videos about things that you experienced and sharing your experience. I mean, we still know that that's one of the most powerful things that attracts people to what you're doing. And there's no question about why you have such a large audience is also you're sharing an experience that so many women felt alone in.
Mhm.
And I mean, there's such a bigger conversation about it now, but honestly, even me getting into my early 40s, I'm like,
Mhm.
people still aren't talking about it a lot and giving us a lot of like hope around it or something to look forward to, or these are, the things that you can do or you can still feel amazing. So I love that you are like, you're creating all the time. You're creating on YouTube, which I would love to chat about your series that you have that you started and was like, tell me about the series and just tell me about what you've seen happen throughout having it.
Well, the series, which I named Fierce Aging, and why I did, I have no idea. I don't even know where it came from. I had women calling my studio all the time, and I would
Mm.
pick up the phone and they'd be like, I love watching your YouTube videos, but I'm in my 60s and you're in your 40s, and I really want to see someone like my age. And I would get these all the time. And I was thinking, so one day someone called me and I'm in between clients, like I'm doing brow waxes, I'm doing my permanent makeup, I'm doing it's like these very short periods where I'm picking, oh, what? Okay. So one day I was like, oh my gosh, honestly, I'm going to do it so I can just say we did it and we don't have to have these phone calls anymore. So I was thinking, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take the month of March and I'm going to take one of my clients. I'm going to represent 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I was like, this will be great. We'll do 4 weeks. Every week we'll have somebody. We'll give them inspiration. Everybody's going to be so different. And my mom was going to be my 70s. So I called her and I said, Mom, doing this series, I want you for my 70s. And
Mm.
she was like, no. I said, Mom, what? I don't have anybody else in their 70s. You got to do it. She's like, I don't feel comfortable. I said, Mom, okay, great. But okay, like I understand, like that's fine. And so I was like really bummed out. So I'm like going on with my day thinking to myself, well, how am I supposed to do this now? So then she called back. She goes, okay, I'll do it. I thought about it. And I was like, come to the studio now. Cause I thought I cannot I don't want her to like lose like the momentum.
Exactly. Very smart.
Yeah, don't back out. So,
Yeah.
and it was so funny. She was so uncomfortable and she was so sweet to do it because she was like, you could see she would be like breathing, and people picked up on it, but it's like that's raw and real. This is not,
That's
these are
real.
not these ladies' platform. They don't do this. They're
Mhm.
coming on a YouTube video 4K with no makeup on. I
Yeah.
mean, it's very intimidating. So I did this series. I posted my mom's. I remember when I posted it, because my husband goes, well, don't post it yet. Like, I don't know if you have enough product. I'm like, it's fine.
Mm.
Like, no one, it's just a series. Well,
Yeah.
hers went viral. So she was almost at 3 million now. And that really put me on the map. And I never thought I was going to continue it. But now we're in our seventh season. It's been 7 years. And I've had women would come to the studio. I had the studio I was in for 16 years. It's my little studio. And they would come and you would see, I would be coming out of the back, seeing a client, and there's someone at the window like this. And I was like, oh, good thing it's all women. Can you imagine? I would be, be like, wait, who's looking in? And so they'd be like, hi, I'm in town, or they're from California, they're from Puerto Rico, they're from all over. He'd be like, I just wanted to stop by. And I'd be like, oh, okay. Like I'm in the middle of the workday, right? And I would say, well, since you're here, do you want to be on my channel? They'd be like, oh, okay. I'll be come back at 9. So that's how this series really, it was so raw and real. I mean, it was so not planned. It was just like, okay, let's do it. And then I think that really resonated with a lot of people. The stories were so amazing. And the key about this series is that most of the beauty industry, avoids wrinkles and bags and pigmentation and dark circles and thinning hair, all the things that happen to women because of so many different factors. And I work with those. I want the problems because we have solutions for those. And you don't have to have surgery. If you want to have surgery, great. I mean, I'm not opposed to that at all. I always say that. You want to do Botox and filler, do it. But if you don't want to do it, like we can work on all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? It's just really the mindset. So I just think that it's a really powerful series because, you know, I just said it to my team yesterday, or on Tuesday when we were filming. So, you know, what's really special about my ladies is that they all look so different. They don't have same face. And we know that in social media now, we're dealing with same face. Everybody looks the same. You know, go back to the 80s and 90s. Everybody had that unique look to them. Everybody looked just like uniquely them, whatever that was. And now we're like running into like a little bit of blurred lines where everybody is looking like the same and no one really can decipher, oh no, that's so-and-so. Oh no, it's not. Oh, that's weird. She looks just like, you know, her. So that's something that's really special, I think, with my ladies because they all look very unique.
What would you say is, you know, just thinking of different age groups for different beauty tips for people maybe that they don't think about, like for women 40s, 50s, 60s, does it kind of change as it progresses? Are there different things that you do?
You know, it depends because sometimes we might not have that much pigmentation in our 40s and then we start seeing it in like 50s, or maybe the dark circles are a little bit more apparent, or just things that are interesting. Like last night in my live, I was saying that I have pigmentation on the sides. I'm a native Floridian. It's just down.
I have them all on my jaw. Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter if we put sunscreen on forever. It's just the fact that you're outside and you're not sunbathing, etc. But the other morning I was like, are these new? Like they're closer to like my mouth. I'm like, okay, there's a line that you're supposed to stay back on. You're not supposed to come forward. I was like, I was like, I think these are new. I was like, oh no. And so I think that it starts happening like it's different for everybody. But you know, I do feel like my ladies in their 70s, you know, they talk more about skin texture and like feeling like their faces aren't as tight, or maybe the jawline. Like there's certain things like that. But you know,
and what do you do? Is it like different tips? Like, is it true we should use like something more like moisturizing or shiny as we get older instead of like really matte things?
you know, I think it depends on your skin. I mean, there's some ladies that are mature that have really oily skin, right? So they're not going to go for something that's dewy or going to give them like this like radiant look because they already get that by having more oily skin. So they would want to probably go into semi-matte. I don't know about how great matte is as an aging face because of the texture of the skin, or, you know, it just depends on personal preference too. I mean, if you love matte, then I mean, that's the way to go. But there are things, you know, depending on each individual. And that's why it's really wonderful to show so many different types of skin, so many different types of, you know, or so many different decades of ages, because then you can at least have a takeaway or you learn something. I mean, I think that's what's important. But taking those little snippets, just like on a podcast, you're not going to, maybe you don't absorb the whole thing. You listen to it again. Oh my gosh, I didn't even catch that the first time. You know, like when you repeat different things that, or videos or podcasts that you really like, I feel like you really take away different things each time.
Tell me about how your makeup line started, because that's a big, you know, I think a lot of people have the dream of something like this, but you know, don't know where to start, like think that they have to get it all right from the beginning. So tell me about that journey.
So I didn't plan to start my own cosmetic company.
Okay.
I was in my treatment room and I was working out of my makeup kit, which is my tower that I would take all over the country. So I was doing.
You were an esthetician at the time. Were you esthetician at the time at that particular
yes.
time?
Okay. So I opened. So I was in beauty forever, right? Since 1996. The reason why I became a makeup artist, I didn't want to be going to Europe every summer as a model. So I was a model with Ford in New York and in Miami. And it was just like chasing the tail of the dog, right? Every market. And then I would have to go to Chicago, and then I would go to New York. And it was a lot. So I've been working since high school. So I lived with Eileen Ford on my spring breaks, and everybody else is going to Cancun. But I enjoy working. I enjoy I enjoyed it. So I was in a very adult world at a very young age. And so I just felt like, you know what? I went around to all the counters. I did makeup for the theater department at school. So I thought, well, maybe someone will give me a chance. I went around to all of the counters cosmetic counters. We still have those now in the mall. And I said, who is your account executive? So I asked and figured out who I could get an interview with and how I could start the process. And that was just part of what I do. I would always create jobs for myself. And so from there, I, once you're in the beauty industry and you're a freelancer, then you go around. I work for Bobbi Brown, I work for Chanel. That's really kind of how it works. And then I was part of Screen Actors Guild. It went on strike in 1999. I was in New York trying to do soaps and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, now I can't work. Okay, great. So I always wanted to be an ER nurse. I did shadow a nurse for a while. I thought, you know what, maybe I'll go to Miami. I need some action. So nursing program was 2-year wait list. So I went into medical aesthetics and I worked with a dermatologist. And so that's when my corporate career really opened up, because now I'm an esthetician. I felt like I didn't really want to be in a dark treatment room when I was 23. So I went out and I became a regional sales manager. Then I had 7 states. Then I had offshore. I was doing all of this. Then I became a national trainer with Dr. Gross and opening Bliss spas and Nordstrom trainings. And so I was really in it. And then when you do that circuit for a while and you're flying a million times a week and you're really on the road all the time, in 2006, I was ready to open my own studio. I was like, I just don't want the corporate life anymore. I want to open my own studio. And that's what I did. So I opened up my company called Fresh Beauty Studio 2006. And I created a team of girls that were makeup artists and hairstylists. And I wanted to do high-end weddings. That's all I really wanted to do. So we would fly to the Bahamas, we'd fly to New York, we'd fly all over and do these weddings. And I brought my modeling background of it being like a big production, because it is. And I wanted them to feel beautiful and pampered, but look like themselves. I couldn't stand wedding makeup. It looked I'm like, is this the same person? So I wanted them to have like that InStyle magazine, really beautiful, just fresh faces. So they looked like themselves. So that was the mission. And so then I would be working. So I'd have my kit when my clients would come in for facials. And then after, like, oh, what makeup? I really want X, Y, and Z. And I'm thinking, oh, all right. Or they would want a lesson. So I would do a lesson, but out of my professional kit. Then I would write everything down on a face chart. And I would say, okay, this is what you can do. You can get this at Sephora, this and that. They would get to Sephora. And then they would be like, no, you need this, you need that. Like, and then my poor client was calling me from there, like, they said, I need this. I'm like, oh God. I was like, okay, so now it's very confusing for them. So I started having a couple things that, some eyeshadows, some lipsticks and lip glosses, so I could help them. Then I started doing classes like at night for my clients. And I said, I don't want you to buy everything. I want you just to fill in the spaces. Like, no, you don't need that much. Then I did a class called Junk in the Trunk, and I would have them bring all their makeup to the studio. I mean, some people came in with bins. Bins of makeup.
As women, we have bins and bins of makeup.
Yes. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay. So I'm like, well, how old is that? So I really
don't ask me that question.
I know. I really started understanding, like, these women really, they buy it, but they don't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then it expires. Then you shouldn't be using this product. These aren't the right colors. And so I knew what I wanted to create because I saw what they were doing. And so what happened was in 2020, and this is what's really interesting about our relationship before meeting today, is that I remember in 2020 listening to you and Chris when you would come on, and here I am, like, okay, in the middle of like redoing my line, repackaging, reformulating. I'm a woman, so of course in manufacturing, getting kicked around. Have a lot of men talking down to me and really kind of saying, you know what, you can't do this. No, we don't. Excuse me. So when I would be on my walks and working out, listening to the two of you, and it was like, this is the time where we hit go. This is the time where people are sitting on their couch like, okay, I don't know what to do, or there's nothing to do, or you were advocating for, this is when you start. This is when you put the plan together. And so it kept me going. And it was a really important factor for me because you could easily give up. You could easily be overwhelmed with what was going on because no one had navigated it before. So I just felt that it was very powerful, especially when Chris would come on and be like, this is what we're doing.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, this is the direction. You don't give up. You actually, you press harder. You work harder. You do all of this. So that's what I did. And I didn't really know what I was doing with just when you go into a world of manufacturing
Same.
and logistics. And, I think people think that I'm just, like on YouTube and I don't do any, what do I really do? No, I formulated all the products because I touched the ladies' faces. I know
Yeah.
exactly what I want. I knew the packaging I wanted because my customer has shaky hands, poor eyesight, tremors, arthritis. I mean, there's all these factors that go into something so simplistic as a packaging that most people
Yeah.
don't think about. So these are really important things. So I did all of that in 2020 and then started rolling out the line, but I reproduced 70 different SKUs. So it was a big undertaking.
Wow.
That's basically I mean, that's how I started it and I brought it to what it is now.
Wow, you dove in and you didn't stop. You just what
Mhm.
was there some points in there where you thought of stopping?
I remember because I'm on so many different time zones.
Yeah.
So I was, most of my work was a lot, you know, like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And then I had decided to hire editors because I just honestly I couldn't do it anymore because it was just so taxing trying to create the line. One time I got off the call and I said to myself, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You haven't cried or given up. Like I was like, it just came to me like it was so tough. I was like, what? What's happening? Like, why do I feel like I'm not getting anywhere? And I was like, you know what? I was like, I'm actually really proud of myself because unless you're in it, you don't know how you're treated or what happens, or, it's a rough ride. But
Mhm.
if you strap in and you know your vision and you know why you're doing it and who you're doing it for, that was my motivation. Because I was like, I'm not going to have someone stop me or try to, be the wrong person to breathe life into my product, and
Yeah.
it was scary because, you're like, well, do I take the abuse because I have to get through this? Or do I say, you know what? No, someone's not going to talk to me like that. So I had to make those decisions that were tough.
When you were creating this, was this something that you were also creating for yourself or you were so hands-on it was like for the women? And how did you know that was there like a major lack in the industry? What do you think you filled?
I feel like when I would be on set in with my all of my makeup, it
Mhm.
was like, gosh, I wish, this works, but it's not the way I want it to work. It's not coming out, it's not applying. The formula should be like X, Y, and Z. Like I had those moments where I was like, only if I had this, that would be like, oh, this is what I need. So I think that, of course, I, you know, I create it for myself as an aging woman where it's like it has to perform, and especially I used to be testing my BB cream where I would be taking like all the boxes and the garbage out to the dumpster and it was so hot and I'd be wearing my jacket, of course, because I was like, I want to be hot. Like if you are a woman like in the
Mm.
city and whatever, like if I keep going back and forth in 92-degree weather and it's super humid here, does it last? Does it look greasy? Does it whatever? So I'd always test it out like in these really interesting environments. I would take it to Vegas. I was like, what's going to happen here? Like this is dry now. We don't have the humidity that we have. So I would do those kind of things, but of course, creating for myself because everything that I produce and I put out there, I have to love. I have to know exactly how it's going to work. Will my product work for every single person? No, of course not. It's just like someone might not like a liquid. Someone really likes more of a cream or, whatever that is. But I did see a very big white space for mature women because I
Mhm.
feel like if someone had a choice, they're not going to say, oh, I would love to see lines and wrinkles and pigmentation on someone's face or tight skin and, a 22-year-old skin. I mean, that's just
Mhm.
the reality of our society and how it works.
Mhm.
So I just felt like these women are being told, like, you've expired, or like, who cares about makeup now? Or why are you even trying? I mean, what does it matter? And to me, in my worlds, in like this beauty bubble, it really does because I feel like that's how, if you put yourself together and you feel incredible, you have a different energy.
Mhm.
You walk into the room differently. You speak differently. And if people think it's silly, then they haven't even tapped into the power of self care, dressing for yourself and putting yourself together. I mean, it's a whole mindset, but it's also something that can dramatically change your life.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this since the beginning of history, like adorning ourselves. Like it really is like a ritual of, I think, like feeling good. It's so crazy. I was looking back at some of my podcasts, like probably probably towards the beginning, like 7, 8 years ago. And some I would do video on. And especially when I really first started doing video, which is probably like 5 years ago, I did not wear any makeup. And I would put my hair, it's just like I was in my pajamas, literally, like hair in a high pony, which great. So glad I had the confidence to do that. But if I was really being honest with myself, I didn't feel good sitting there seeing myself. And I also didn't feel like I was giving the guest like the respect that maybe they deserve for me to get ready for them. And while some people might think totally different, this is just what was internally happening for me.
Mhm.
And when I really started getting dressed, doing my hair, putting on some makeup, like I feel transformed. And in full transparency, my audience started growing. I started attracting a better client. Like I do think it matters. I feel like you do feel different within yourself. Like I feel like just more confident and like I have more respect for myself. And I think the process of it too is like even taking that time to put makeup on. I know it sounds crazy to some people, but it's become really real ritualistic. I'll listen to a podcast, I'll listen to a visualization. Like it's a preparation for what I want for the day. So I love that you're giving attention, especially to that age demographic. Because let me tell you guys, we're all gonna get there. We're all gonna get there, and we're not gonna want to feel left behind or left out or not important. And I think what you're doing is so incredibly awesome because you're also making them look freaking beautiful.
That's what I always loved when I was on set. And I would be doing, I just knew like where I'm taking this person, like this face that just, sat in my chair. And I could see where I wanted them to be. And it was just so gratifying to be able to, make that transformation, but just prettier. It wasn't like covering up. It wasn't about the makeup. She was wearing the makeup wasn't wearing her. And that was really the philosophy. So it really just made me, and just, that's just kind of like what I just love that. I love it.
You have an awesome like transformation story of someone sitting in your chair.
Oh my gosh, these ladies. I think what's really important is a lot of women, especially in the demographic of getting, in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, they're widows now, or they're
Mhm.
dealing with, I had one woman on last season that in all in one day, or or maybe it was the month, can't remember. She got divorced, she lost her job, and she was diagnosed with cancer all
Oh
in
my
a month.
gosh. Oh
And
my
so
god.
it was really an interesting story on, taking that and how she turned it around for herself. So there's a lot of stories like that with the ladies that come on that really have in what's so special is that they're willing to share,
Mhm.
because so many people deal with so many things and you feel like you're alone, because that's the whole thing with the whole IVF. I'm thinking to myself, wow, like I'm with all these brides, like super easy for everyone. Like all my clients have kids. Like what's like there's something wrong, right?
Mhm.
When I came out with it, I had a separate channel for it to keep it separate. Oh my gosh, then all my clients are telling me how many miscarriages they had and all
Wow.
these things and whatever. So women do suffer silently because they're embarrassed, they're shamed, they don't have community, and it's like, oh, I'm the only one. Like this is
Mhm.
only happening to me, until you start talking and connecting with other women. It's so powerful. And that's what that series does for women that could be
Mhm.
sitting on the couch feeling depressed, lonely, like I'm the only person. Or then these stories come out and they're like, oh my gosh, like that's encouraging. Like that all happened to her. And then look what she did with it, or I could do that too, or whatever. So, that's really why this series is so important.
Mm. Okay, so with everything that you've learned from women in their 50s, 60s, 70s, especially women in like let's talk about like 60s, 70s, 80s because you've gotten to spend a lot of time with them. What would you say back to women in their 30s and 40s right now?
my 70s decade seems to be my favorite in a lot of ways because
Oh, awesome. I love this.
it's really interesting because because I find it to be scary sometimes, like, right, with the anxiety and like what's going to happen. And then you look at like the news for a second and you're like, oh my gosh, like, and then you look at these women in their 70s and 80s that have been through so many different social issues and all of the things that go on and whatever. And they're like, one of the ladies said, what's the best? I said, what's the best advice you would give to women in their 30s and 40s? And she's like, relax. She's like,
Mm.
just relax and be present. And, they're always, and I said, I love the advice because they've made it up there, right? And they're looking back and saying, stop worrying so much about everything, just think about what you're grateful for. Think about, staying healthy and focusing on things that you really can control. And so it really kind of puts it back to perspective for me because I can get like a little wild when it comes to like, oh my gosh, you have so many things and it gets to be overwhelming. And then I look at these women and I think, wow, it makes me feel more confident in aging. And like, there's great things to look forward to, despite what society says, despite what social media says. And you don't want to go down that path, And I think it's about mind control and saying, you know what, I want to, like, what's your intention? What do you want to be at 70s? I asked one of my guests, I said, did you ever think like in your 40s, like me, did you ever think, I wonder what I'm going to be like in my 70s? She's like,
Mm.
no, never. Cause they don't like, I think I'm always thinking like, I want to be strong. I want to be doing things. I mean, I look at these centurions and I'm like, that's what I want. I want to be like lifting weights still. And, all of those things, like, how do I want to map it out? I think it's important to really have that vision now and not be like, well, I don't know what's going to, I hope,
Yeah.
like the intention's there that I want to be like, you know, doing all the things and not being like, oh, well, I'm 80. I can't do that.
Oh my God. I'm actually in the same boat. I'm literally like, okay, if this is how I want to be when I'm 80, because I want to make sure I'm still skiing and playing pickleball and like doing all the things and that I'm even more fashionable than I could even picture right now in my head. I'm like, what would I need to start doing now in order to do that? And it's actually been like a really empowering thought instead of a fearful thought
Mhm,
because
mhm.
I'm like, oh my God, look at all the cool things out there for older people. I live in Newport Beach and now like I think it just opens up your world to go, holy crap, these women next to me who are way older are like schooling me in pickleball and look at how much fun they're having. So it's giving me this totally different perspective over like, okay, okay, I can see that instead of dread. Because honestly, I think when we're in our 20s and 30s, I'm just being so open and vulnerable. I think we dread getting older. I think we're so afraid of it
Yeah.
because I did not see a good picture of it growing up. I did not see a good picture of it. I heard oh, wait till you're, 40, your life is over. This is what you give up. This is what you don't have anymore. This is how you feel. You feel horrible. You don't look good. Like this is literally the language that is in my head if I rewound to when I was a child. And I
Mm.
love that you are completely resetting the language.
Well, it's interesting because I turned 50 in October. So I was thinking, gosh, that's so interesting. Like half a century. Like that's what I keep thinking, right? And then I think to myself, well, where'd all the time go? Right? Like, what was I like in my 20s? Can I remember? It's like weird because it's not that long ago, but it's just interesting to look back and then to be like, well, that's in the past. Like this is what I have now. And how exciting. I always feel like in a way, it's like if I'm playing golf, like I'm on the back nine, right? Now I'm going on the second part of your life. And what does that look like? And I think that there's a lot of mature men and women breaking that mold, showing you how fit looks at 80 and 90. I share it all the time on Instagram when I see these powerful stories where it is possible. It just depends on what you want to do and how you navigate that.
Mm. What do you want that back half to look like? And that's literally been a phrase in my head as I'm like, what do I want this like? What do I want the second half of my life to be? Because it feels, I would love to know for you if you hit a spot in your 40s where it felt like a complete like moment. And this is what happened to me recently. I was like, oh, whoa. I'm getting presented with I'm at a fork in the road and I can decide to like really make this the best half of my life or I can decide to be like, "Oh, this is getting older. this sucks. And I'm like, I am gonna obviously choose to make this the best half. But it felt like a true moment, like almost within just this moment in time within a week. I was like, holy crap, just this realization that I'm kind of at a midway point. And I think there's a whole like almost like getting to reinvent yourself, like choosing to like reinvent this second portion of your life. I'm curious what you want to do and how you view that second portion of your life.
I think that when it comes to intentions, I think it's about the habits. And it's about if you do the little habits, like you move the needle 1%, right? I didn't finish Atomic Habits. I still have the book, but I know where he was saying that if you just get a little better each day, I think that's the concentration as you're aging, because you don't want to look at like, what am I going to do with the next 30 years? Because it's overwhelming. Or, when people are like, where do you see yourself in 10 years? It's like, well, okay, let's back it up. Like, this
Mhm.
is where I want to see myself by the end of the year, like working out 3 times a week, or I really want to strengthen the meditation. And I think if you concentrate on those little habits, that you're going to get the full picture, because that's where it really starts. Like, okay, you know what? I really need to concentrate more on my diet, because as I'm getting older, maybe it's a little bit harder. I mean, the thing is, I think a hard part for women in our age bracket now is that, from what I see, it's like gaslighting us with menopause and all the things, and you lose your estrogen, your face falls. And I see a lot of men on YouTube, doctors and everything, like trying to make it so fearful and make women feel like, oh my gosh, like it's over. I mean, that's really the message about this whole menopause and everything like that. And I say to myself, I mean, I've heard the horror stories, and it's true, it happens for some women, but I think, okay, you know what? Take it step by step. Don't freak out. Okay, that's someone else's experience, might not be yours. And I just think that taking those little bites and then putting them all together, like, is stringing along where you want to be, because you obviously have the vision of being really strong in the mind. I think that's really important first before the body, because the mind is really what you have to control, in my opinion. And then doing all the little things that will help you each day, instead of like looking at this huge, like, goal and then missing it all and then being disappointed that you're like, oh, I didn't get there. Well, yeah, because you have to take those little steps to make sure every day you're doing them, you're checking them off. I feel like when I do that, it helps me feel more accomplished than being like, oh, here's the big goal, but it's all like gray area and I didn't do anything, right? I kind of skipped over all the real important steps.
Mm. It's totally what I've always had to do because I get really overwhelmed easy. It's probably the first thing in my personality that's like, I will experience overwhelm if I see something really big. I have to just focus on like, what do I want to get done this week? I think one of the biggest things, kind of like you said, I've just been focusing on, okay, I want to really dial in like my food. Like, I just want to make sure I'm eating really healthy for like my brain, for my skin, for longevity, all of the things. And I kind of focus on one thing at a time. Is there anything that you want to leave women with? Any empowering statement that's really helped you?
I came up with this tag. Well, I have two taglines. When I don't know when it started, back in the day of when I started my videos, I would say, let's get this beauty started.
Mm.
And it was just kind of like a launching pad to go into like the intro or what have you. So I actually etched that into one of my compacts. I think you might have, if you have one of my blush compacts, the longer ones, I etched it into the mirror. So if you open it up, it says, let's get this beauty started. It's kind of when you're not feeling it, or you're like, you're reminded that you're worth getting your beauty started, no matter where you are in the whole beauty game. And the other kind of tagline that I came up with, and I don't know where it came either, but I always tell the ladies that they're bold, fierce, and unapologetic. And I truly believe in that. And I believe in going against the grain. I believe in ruffling the feathers. I believe in not being status quo. And I believe that mature women should push it full throttle. And I want to see that. And that's why I really encourage them through beauty to do that, to
Mm.
take it to the next level. Don't play small, take up space. I don't want them sitting back thinking people are telling them that they're not worth it, or it's not this or that. You know what? Challenge that. and
Mm,
get out there and show your beautiful face. I don't care if you have fine lines and wrinkles or you have pigmentation or you have whatever it is,
mm,
because the mentality should change so that it's beautiful
mm,
and not be constantly shamed that you have to change yourself or fix things, because you don't have to fix anything. If you feel that you need to fix something, that's a different story, because that's coming in from you and what bothers you. If you're listening to other people, you will change yourself. And I know this as a model with everything that was told to me to change. And I was like, I don't think so. Oh, lose weight, lose weight. I was like, what? And you do, and it's not good enough. They'll always be asking you to change. So you have to do things coming from you and what your desires are and what's important to you. And that's
mm.
it, period, end of story.
Oh, I love that. And I have loved following you. Like I really follow you. Like you come up in my thing all of the time. Like I like you've been in my life for a lot of years because I really enjoy it. I think, there's so many people we can look at for fashion and style and all the things, which by the way, you guys, if you like fashion and just, looking at just style and makeup and hair, like you are so much fun to follow on
Oh, thank
Instagram.
you.
She's just got such beautiful clothes and such beautiful taste in putting it all together, but it's an energy. And so I feel like it's just, you're like the ultimate package to follow for everything. Meaning, like, it's not just about the clothes, it's not just about the hair. It's like you are an embodiment to follow. And that is so cool. Cause I'm just like, when I look at yourself, I'm like, yes, 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 yes. That's sometimes all I write is yes, like with a lot of S's. So
That's very sweet. Thank you so much for that nice compliment.
oh, you're incredible. And I feel like your energy is rippling like way outside of what you even realize. And I hope you guys listening go and follow. And I'm looking at this beautiful palette of lipsticks, which by the way, she has incredible makeup. I love, love, love. I can't wait to try this cream highlighter, blush, and bronzer. If anyone knows me, I'm all about
I know.
bronzing the crap out of my
I
face.
know. I thought you would. I thought you would enjoy it because it's all cream, and I know you're
Yeah.
in a little bit of a hot environment too.
Yeah, and it's stunning. And so I love the names too. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. Beach House. I should have put Beach House on. It's where
I
I'm at
know.
right now.
I know. It's a coral. It's beautiful. It would look great. All of those will really, really look good on you. And figure it out's in there. And actually, I can. I
They're
kept him in the
beautiful.
new line.
The line is beautiful, you guys. Go and check it out. I'm putting literally everything in the show notes. But you can go to Nikol Beauty, Nikol beauty.com to go and check everything out. But definitely also go follow. I'm putting her Instagram handle down here and her YouTube. And Nikol, thank you so much for coming on the show. I loved getting to chat and hear the story.
Thank you, Lori. It was really an honor.
Oh, thank you guys so much. And you can tune in next week, and I will see you soon. Everybody earn your happy. Bye bye.